No.
To carry on, I think that is what the standard we have set for ourselves. Our program start at 6. I think Dr. Egbetokun, if you can just give an introduction before you hand over to Dr. Kolade, I think that would be good. About what this session is about. We can only be thankful that Baba is here with us today, and I'm sure we're going to learn a lot from his well of wisdom.
Yes. So and I'm already live streaming on YouTube anyway, so whoever is not able to join us today can catch up on YouTube, and we'll share the link afterwards. So, good evening, members and elders, and we welcome you to the second edition of the In Conversation series, which is a series where we seek to learn from the experience, the wisdom, and the expertise of our elders. In the maiden edition last month, we were speaking with Professor Rashid Badigeshin, who spoke about different aspects of academic career progress. Today, we have our father, our grandfather, our great-grandfather, Archbishop Emeritus Ayo Ladigbolu, who is going to be talking to us about community leadership. For everyone who knows Baba, you would know that he needs very little introduction when it comes to grassroots mobilization, community engagement, and development, empowerment, and advancement of our community, our Oyo federal constituency, as it were. So he's going to be in conversation with Rev'd Dr. Kolade, who is going to be chatting with him. And these are the things that, the questions, the conversation that they will both have is what we hope to learn from this evening. Rev'd Dr. Kolade is the founder of Glodet Missions. I'm not sure if I'm saying that correctly, but I know it is Glodet. Whether there's a global between the Glodet and the missions is what I don't remember, but it doesn't matter. So he is quite close to Baba, and they've been, they've been working hand in hand for some time now. So I will hand over to Reverend Dr. Kolade, who incidentally is sitting in the same vicinity as Baba as we speak. So they're going to be having really hearty conversation that we're going to learn from this evening. Reverend Dr. Kolade, over to you, sir.
Thank you, my brother. Thank you so much. It's a privilege to sit with Baba Archbishop Ayo Ladigbolu. We thank the Lord for this opportunity. We thank the Lord for this opportunity to have Baba with us today in our In Conversation series. Baba is a blessing to Yoruba land, not only to Oyo. Baba is a global figure, and we are privileged as a community to have such an individual in our community as a community leader. I want to once again welcome Baba Archbishop Ayo Ladigbolu to the In Conversation series of the Oyo Scholars Congress. It's a special program where we engage with leaders of repute from Oyo, and we try to learn transgenerational values from their lives. So today I have with me Archbishop Ayo Ladigbolu in the house today. Baba, with all humility, I will, on behalf of the Congress, want to ask you to introduce yourself to us. And by introducing yourself, you help us to know about your background with emphasis on leadership. Okay. Thank you, sir. Daddy, you are welcome.
Well, thank you very much. It's my great delight to be on this very special program. It's been a very, very busy day. I almost lost my voice, but I'm sure I will gather enough strength to be able to stay through the period of this conversation. Well, my name is Lawrence Sada Ayo Ladigbolu. But most people call me Archbishop Ayo Ladigbolu, simply because I'm a clergy of the Methodist Church Nigeria, where by the grace of God, I rose to the position of an Archbishop before my voluntary retirement in 2005 as Bishop of Ilesha and Archbishop of Ilesha Archdiocese, which covers all of Edo and Delta, Kogi, and most parts of Yoruba land. And of course, I'm a trained journalist. I hold a master's degree in mass communication, apart from my training in theology, both in Nigeria and at Perkins School of Theology, Dallas, Texas, USA. And I've practiced my journalism mainly in the church. But then, of course, as a preacher, as a teacher, as a leader of the church, most people know me as Archbishop. They don't know much about the rest of my life. I happen also to be a Yoruba Kewi, having grown up in the palace of the Alafin, and I've used my Ewi mainly to proclaim the gospel of Jesus Christ. I've not done much of the secular Ewi. So a lot of people too don't know that I'm an Akewi, but I was made the patron of the Egbe Akewi Yoruba, company of the late Uncle Bayo Faleti and Ogundare Foyamu. The three of us were made patrons of the Egbe Akewi Yoruba of the entire Yoruba land. So I'm a family man. We have children, male and female. And I have been involved with Oyo and Oyo youth, and then Oyo elders since the 1960 up to date. So there was a short break, especially in the period while I was training in Ilorin and training in Ibadan before I went to the United States for further training. But most of the time I have kept in touch. Oyo, the leadership of the community, stretching from the king, the Alafin, the Oyomesi, and the title chiefs. And thank God, since my return from America in 1977, I have been constantly involved in all Oyo-related activities, no ramifications. And give God the glory that I had the privilege of being requested by this community to produce an Oyo anthem in 2003. And that anthem is still what is in use until today. So I don't know how much more you want me to say, but we've remained involved in Oyo activities, in Oyo concerns. And since my retirement in 2005, I have been neck deep involved in all Oyo related matters and activities up to today. Because today I have attended 2 or 3 meetings, all about Oyo. And so it's like me and Oyo, we have become inseparable in so many ways. And it is indeed a delight and a pleasure to be able to serve God through my community the Oyo metropolitan community, as well as the entire Yoruba land, which we also have had the privilege of serving in various capacities.
Thank you, Baba, for that wonderful relay of your background. I think many of us will want to know a little about your childhood, a little about your academic journey, especially the early stages. And we want to learn some of the differences with your experience now relating with the contemporary youth, some of the differences that you notice while you are growing up during your time as a child and when you are growing up as a teenager. What are some of your experiences that you feel possibly maybe there are differences between your own time and our own time? What are some of the lessons that you feel those of us now we can learn from your childhood and your teenage time?
Well, growing up in Oyo was fun in our own days because, of course, everybody lived in the family house. And there are many mothers. And so every woman in the house is your mother. Sometimes you don't even know who your real biological mother is, particularly in our own environment of the palace, where every woman in the house is a mother. And so I knew about 5 women that I thought were my real mothers because of the way they cared for me, the way they were concerned about me. And it took, I think I was about 12 years old before I knew who my real mother was. And so growing up, we shared everything. Nobody lays any claim upon any property, upon anything, everything that belongs to the household belonged to all of us. And we had plenty of time to play and plenty of time to work. In my own particular case, I had to go to the Arabic and Islamic school. And I forgot to mention that in my beginnings, I went to the Quranic school. And on returning from school, you help with whatever chores there are available to do in the house. And we made it a duty on our own growing up that every Friday we will go to the bush to find firewood for the Malam's wife, and of course firewood for us to sell, so that we will also make our own pocket money to be able to buy stuff for ourselves. And doing these things were really fun for us because each one would struggle to make sure we had enough firewood to be able to sell in two bunches, so that there will be one to take for the Alpha's wife and one to keep for ourselves. And we exercise through wrestling. In our own days, we were not fond of boxing, but and I was a good wrestler. And indeed, we did some of these Jesaras. They will ask us to get some grass, throw it over our head. If it lands on the back, then you grind it and they do better for you. And so if anybody throws you, you find yourself on your feet and you won't fall down. And these were the kind of things we did for fun and for exercise. And indeed, in my own time, I had a small group of youngsters who will always send me to go and record. There's always a singing competition every month in Oyo between the motor park people and the butchers. And so they will always send me to be the recorder of the different songs at each of these competitions, and they expect me to come back and reproduce the songs of these two groups. And how I did it, I don't know, but I was able to catch the songs from the motor park people, catch the songs from the butchers, and come back to my group and reproduce some of those. I'm sure I've lost that power now. I'll be able to retain and remember some of those things and reproduce them. But those were kind of things we did growing up. And of course, we always go to the evening market to do nothing but stroll around in the market and just to enjoy ourselves. But in our days, there was no thuggery. There was no fighting. There was no disturbing community peace. We just enjoyed ourselves. We just had fun. And later on, the government came on around 1960, and they introduced what they called Boys and Girls Clubs. And this helped a lot. And of course, it has to do with my beginning of leadership within the community, because they encouraged us to form Boys and Girls Clubs in each area of town. And then their representatives will come to Doba, where the office of the Social Welfare Department was, and with one Mr. Ayo Ladigbolu, who used to be an headmaster at Oyo LA School, and who converted to a social worker and was in charge of that program. And this encouraged the young people from different areas of Oyo to gather together, form their associations, and then they began to encourage us to do cooperative sporting, cooperative debating, cooperative drama. They even encouraged us, young people in Oyo then, to form a band. And the likes of late Yinka Anyakujo, late Sogundele, and a host of others were part of that group and leadership in those days. And all we were concerned about was to enjoy ourselves, make people happy, and make our town happy. That was all we were concerned about.
Thank you so much. From the audience, I want you to be preparing your mind. You may have questions you want to ask Baba. So make sure that you are preparing your question. We want to learn from the rich background of Baba. We want to know as much as possible from the formative years, and especially how the community look like. And if we can make some comparison between those time and our own time now. From some of the things that you said.
I forgot to tell you, in those days growing up, it was our parents and us who made some of the roads in each of the areas of Oyo that you see today. Because when we were growing up,
motor road or pathway,
the road that bicycles were riding upon and that motors are using today.
So community efforts.
Community. It was the community that made most of the inside of town roads in Oyo. Oh. Yes. And those were part of the fun things that happened in our own growing up years. The road from the prison gate to Sakutu were made by people in our area. And the same thing happened with various other parts in Okionira, in Agunpopo, and Siele, and all over the place.
Around what year was that?
Well, I'm talking about around 1950, 52, 54, even up to 57.
Wow.
Yes. It was the community effort that created most of the inner city roads that you find in Oyo today.
So how were you able to mobilize the community to do that?
They just ring the bell. The head of the different compound announced there's this duty to do, and they decide how much space they needed, enough space for a motor to pass, for a bicycle to ride through, and for people to walk, and they'll start doing it, including even doing the bridges and culverts. Yes. And those were the things happening in our own years growing up. And so the children were happy to see that happen. We will uproot coconut trees, we will uproot big trees, banana trees, everything, just to make sure the road was passable.
No government intervention?
No. No local government, no state government, nobody.
And the community was able to do that.
The communities did most of those roads.
Oh, I think the line is frozen at the point where it's gotten very interesting. Or is this just me, Dr. Egbetokun?
No, it's not just you. It's frozen on my side too. So I'm guessing it's on the other end.
Is the high point of the technology has a mind of its own. A very interesting point of the conversation.
Of the conversation, yes.
Dr. Kolade, I think Baba is frozen. If you can hear us,
I'm not sure.
There's a disconnection there. I thought I could see him moving, actually. He's moving.
Okay, he's still talking. I think they are
He's
carrying
talking,
on.
Yeah, I think Baba is the
probably
one
not
that Dr. Kolade, we can't hear Baba again, no?
Or he's muted.
Ah.
So you can unmute his microphone or something.
Yeah.
No, he's actually using Baba's microphone. They connected the two
Yeah,
microphones to
but it's
Baba's
muted.
computer.
It's muted.
No. What I'm saying is he had been muted all along. His audio that we were hearing was
It's from Baba so that there will not be echo.
Yes.
And now Baba is disconnected. The conversation is going on, but
and he doesn't seem to be aware. He's not
so you
hearing
can
us.
send a request to unmute to his own phone. Maybe somebody will.
we are doing that just now, but I think they have to rewind that part because it's very interesting.
They have to. It's an interesting part.
Right. Olamide, can you get hold of Evans, who is there? That Baba is disconnected. And okay, please bear with us, ladies and gentlemen. I will try to.
Okay. And he's enjoying the conversation with Baba, oblivious of the fact that we are cut off.
Hello, Kolapo. Baba's microphone is muted. We're not hearing anything. I think you need to tell Reverend to pause because the conversation is happening only between the two of them. All of us online, 20-something of us, we can't hear anything.
Using up a cheat them. So, but you are saying you don't think.
Sorry to interject, Reverend Kolade.
Imagine the way we can reverse the trend of me and my family that has.
Reverend Kolade, can you hear us?
Reverend Kolade, can you hear us?
Yes, we can hear you.
Well, what we're saying is that we have missed about 4 minutes of your conversation. We can see that you're enjoying it, but Baba's phone has been disconnected for the past 4 minutes. So and it was at the very, really high point of interest when Baba is describing the roads that were built by the community that we lost him.
Yes.
Wow. So we for the past 4 minutes, actually. So we would ask you to go back to the whole 4 minutes, but if you can just summarize. And Kolapo needs to pay close attention here. You need to be connected to the audience so that if something again happens, you can pick it up quickly. Kolapo.
Yes. Okay. Sorry, the community. Baba was trying to explain how, in his time, the community, they were able to marshal resources together. And through community efforts, they were able to construct all the major roads within the town. Yes. And citing specific example like that of Lagbondoko to Sakutu axis, and Oroba to Isokun, Odu axis to Parakoyi. Yes. That all these roads, they were constructed through community efforts. Yeah. And it was almost 30 years after the roads were constructed before the government of the time came around to tar the road.
Yes.
And he said it was, in fact, a kind of a community, normal way of life. And people were participating.
Everybody was happy to be part of those things.
Interventions and work. And I think that's a wonderful. So we were trying to connect that one with the family life of his time, the way the children were brought up, the nuclear family set up, and like he said that it was when he was around 12 years old before he was able to even identify his own mother, and that about 5 different women, significant adults, he considered them as his mother because they were, giving direction and mentoring that he felt maybe they were even his mother. And that shows the kind of a family lifestyle and the system of community life of his time. So we're trying to compare that one with our own contemporary time, where everybody lives in his own estates, fenced. The children hardly even interact with their parents, not to talk of interacting with the neighbors. And we're looking at that as part of what may, affect that sense of a connection and relationship and networking, because we mostly live as individual now, but in his own time, they live as a community. So, and it was very, easy for them at that time to bring people together for community, work. So I was trying to ask him, in his own opinion, what he feel we can do, possibly maybe to reverse that trend and bring that, community consciousness, that togetherness, that living together as one people, how we can bring that consciousness back to our own generation.
Thank you very much, Reverend, for the summary. Thank you.
So that's what we. Daddy, another thing that I noticed from what you explained about your beginning, stage, is the fact that you even went to Arabic school.
Yes.
And how were you able to combine that one with the regular Western education? And how was it like when you later changed your faith? So how was it like? How was the acceptance, and how were you able to cope?
Well, that really was a big story. I'm sure we cannot tell of that all of that today. But being born into the religion of Islam, of course, the normal proper thing was for me to go to Ilekeu, which is the Arabic and Islamic training school, and I started at Ilelega. There was a big malam there who was a carpenter and a Muslim teacher. And later on, my daddy requested that I should be nearer home, and so he drew me back to Sarumi, which was opposite the palace from the Olorieru side, and that was where I finished my training and did the Wolimat, which was the graduation. And I started as an enthusiast. I was preaching, I was teaching, I was trying to reproduce all that I knew about Islam. And that made me very somewhat popular among my colleagues and young people in Oyo at that time. And I had a good following then. They were always willing and ready to listen to me. I told you of a small group I had then too, who would send me out to record the songs of the Omeleran and the Omonimato, and I would come and reproduce it to them and all those things. But then, of course, later on, my uncle, Prince Adebimpe, encouraged my daddy to allow me to go to school. So that I didn't start a regular primary school until the age of 14.
Wow.
So I was really grown up.
How was religious tolerance like? Because like your community virtually every family, you see Muslim, Christian, and traditionalists.
Mm. Well, in my own growing up days, Christians were not many. You had more Muslims, and then those who are following the traditional religions. But everybody accommodated everybody else. You don't know any difference. During the Ileya festival, everybody celebrated together. Even during the Ramadan, those who are not Muslims fasted and did everything we did with us, and we shared with them gladly in those days. Nobody discriminated against anybody on the basis of their religion, even though the Christians were not so many, but there was friendship and love among the communities, and you are free to move anywhere. Even my big uncle who raised me at Ajalaruru was the head of the Babalawos. And people may not know that the first Ifa school was built in our own house, in my family house, in my mother's house at Salioyo, and originated by my uncle, Aboguleye. And that's the one who raised me. But his brother, with whom I also stayed, and who sent me to the Arabic school, is the only Muslim among them. And eventually, after I'd grown up, the Baptist mission went to Igbola, our village, and converted many. And so most of my remaining uncles alive today are Christians. My mother said, and that was Oyo for you. That's it, the way Oyo has remained.
Today, Oyo has that kind of
Oyo has remained like that, yes. That
religious tolerance.
There's nowhere you will go where you can discriminate.
Muslim,
no,
Christian,
you cannot.
And traditional religion, adherents.
It doesn't. The religion has never divided Oyo, and that's why I'm believing that in my own lifetime and after I'm gone, religion will not be a factor to divide this community, because we are one family, and there's that deep love and respect for the family ties.
From your story, you've been involved in leadership from your very early stage.
Yes.
Can you share with us some of the leadership role that you have played, possibly maybe from your teenage time, and how did you get into some of those leadership roles, and how was your experience like leading the various groups and bands?
Well, when the government brought the Federation of Boys and Girls Club idea to Oyo, we accepted them. And some of us were there in what was then called the secondary modern school. Having left the primary school, some who could afford it went to high schools, grammar schools. Some of us went to modern schools. So I was in Doba when the idea of forming these things, and for whatever reason, Baba Iyolawi just picked on me to go and find my contemporaries and organize them into a boys and girls club. And so I had to start looking for people, explain to them. He told me we will be able to play together, we'll be able to grow up together, we will learn together, and then we will represent our community at competitions and do things for other people, and it will help us to grow up as better human beings. And I said, fine. So I went about and recruited a good number. I think I was able to get about 20 within a few days. And they inaugurated us as a Federation of Boys and Girls Club. And then members from that group were going around and contacting their friends in other areas to organize themselves. And eventually, when we got properly organized, they made me their president in 1960.
1960.
Yes. And so that was my first taste of leading people. So that all the boys and girls from what is now Afigio and the rest of Oyo, when we gather together, I will preside over the meeting. We had a constitution that the government itself provided, and that guided all our activities. And before we knew it, within 1 year, 1.5 years of our starting, we were able to do table tennis competition, soccer competition, basketball competition.
We have lost Baba again.
We have lost Baba again, Reverend Dr. Kolade. Baba is frozen again, if you can hear us.
Baba is frozen again. And Evans, are you there? Kolapo, are you there?
And knocked him so down that he took some pouring water on his head before he get back on his feet. So from that day, I said I'll stop boxing. But I've grown. So that's how I began to give leadership here and there. And Saka Folani, who was the late secretary to Kabiyesi Baba Yeye, was my secretary. I was the president. He was the secretary for the entire Divisional Federation of Boys and Girls Club. And we were able to organize a band that went to the Festival of Arts and Culture in Ibadan. And we won second prize, second place position, just doing Oyo songs, doing Bata and Dodon and Sekere. And so we saw ourselves then as young people, also as promoters of Oyo culture in the little ways that we could do it. And that's the way I've been finding myself getting involved one way or the other in one form or another of community leadership.
And during your own time, when the young people gathered themselves together and formed various clubs and organizations, were you doing community work, community services?
Yes, yes. The part of the training those social welfare people taught us was to be able to clean our area every week, even before Noah, why and all these things came much later during the military era. So each group in each area had the responsibility of cleaning their area and surroundings and encouraging their parents and neighbors to clean their areas every week as part of our community service. And of course, very few of us are remaining alive today. Otherwise, I could be calling witnesses to bear witness to that. But that was a reality that we grew up with, so that serving our community was part of our growing up and is still part of our life till today.
So what are some of the other defining moments or from individuals who also influence and shape your role as a community leader?
Well, I'll give credit to Baba Yeye, Alaafin Oba Lamidi Olaiwola Adeyemi III, because he provided plenty of opportunities for me, probably because we were growing up together before we parted ways and went our different ways and then came back together. That he knew some of the things I had done for the community. So he gave me plenty of opportunities to serve and to lead. Because if there's any issue that requires us mobilizing people, he would talk to me. Even when we started Oyo Toro, for the 2 episodes of Oyo Toro Festival that we did, I was then Archbishop in Ilesha, but he would send people from Oyo. He would send chiefs from Oyo to talk to me. He would send delegations of people in Lagos who wanted a festival to come and talk to me. Go to Bishop, seek his advice, listen to what he has to say. Those kind of opportunities were very, very helpful and useful to me in getting more involved and in sharing ideas and in mobilizing people and encouraging them to do things for our community. And most of the time, I find them asking me to come and get involved. And so when we finished with that, we had a little problem, misunderstanding. And then what else do we do? He still said, yes, come on, the Oyo Mesi should go and work with me. And that's how we started the Orania Festival, which had carried on for 10 years before Kabiyesi passed. And so I would say, yes, the chiefs in Oyo, Kabiyesi, they allowed himself, they allowed me to use whatever initiatives I have, whatever ideas one came up with. They allowed them to fruit. They allowed them to blossom because they provided the space. And so I would see them as great factors in whatever we are able to do for the community. Even when the Akesa market was on fire, I mean, got burnt, and the idea just occurred to me, and I went to Kabiyesi and I said, fine, Kabiyesi, I want to call all leaders of every area in Oyo and tell them to stop. That we will invite every community in this area to come and help these people, because the government of Oyo State has given 10 million to help those whose shops got burnt. What will Oyo people themselves do? And Kabiyesi said, go ahead, invite anybody you think can help you. I'm with you. Kabiyesi didn't give us a kobo, but he gave us support and encouragement. And we used that and mobilized everybody in this community. And because the people knew we won't invite them to do anything harmful, we won't invite them to do anything dangerous, we won't invite them to do anything that's not in their best interest. They had absolute confidence in us. And so it was very easy to mobilize our people. And we raised 7.5 million within 3 months, which we distributed to all those who lost their shops and properties during that fire. And this kind of things is due to the support of the community leaders in various locations, the chiefs, the Oyo Mesi, and of course the Alaafin himself, and the support of the local government authorities. Because when we had the idea, somebody spoke to us that we can have a passport office in Oyo. And we said, how do we do it? They gave us directions. It was the local government chairman at that time that we approached. And they came, we explained to them, they supported it. So each time people came from Abuja to inspect what we had, it was the chairman who paid for the hotels and gave them money for transport back. But we were given leadership. We were there in front, the forefront, but our background was the chairman of the local government until we succeeded and got the thing published in the papers and got the building erected for that place and so on. So there are so many people involved. It wasn't anything that anybody done as a lone ranger.
In 2005, you retired voluntarily.
Yes.
You left pastorates and you returned to Oyo.
Yes.
Or your town.
And because God was telling me, go and serve your people.
And you have not reached the retirement age.
I still have 3.5 years to my proper retirement.
And you prefer to return home.
Yes. And so I said, I must obey God. And the Methodist Church didn't want me to go. They said there's a contest coming ahead. The prelate will be elected. You are qualified to contest. That's fine. Leave me alone. God has said it's enough. I should go home.
And what can you say? What was your experience like coming home, serving the community since 2005, relating with people in Oyo and leading them on community, major community projects? What has your experience been like?
Well, it has been great.
Leading your own people.
Yeah, it has just been great. Because
no regrets?
No, none at all.
No disappointments?
Disappointment, yes, you cannot but get some disappointment, but the victories we have accomplished have outweighed any of those little disappointments. Because God has done so much for Oyo through our leadership that we could just not believe. And He has exposed our community to the whole world. And we know we still have many challenges, but the fact that people trusted us, they had absolute confidence in us. Whatever we tell them, they believe it because they know we've never lied to them and we will never lie to them. That gives a lot of delight a lot of pleasure. Even when you sleep and you are wondering, oh, I have a lot of pain because of the 5 or 6 meetings I've held today. But then something tells you, well, can't you see the fruit of your labors? Your people are happy.
And leading Oyo people,
Yeah.
the late Allah having said, it's very difficult to know what your mind
People
is
are
saying.
thinking, you can't know Oyo's mind.
So, and how have you been able to navigate through that?
Well, it was through the grace of God.
That when Oyo man stand, he's actually
lying down.
How did you manage?
It is the grace of God. Because sometimes they will upset you to the point that you want to resign and retire. But then it is God who says I should come home and serve my people.
There are some of the very major community projects that you are involved in, and you are still involved in so many major community interventions and projects. Can you share your experience with us with some of these projects, the recent ones, and how you were able to? Because we see around Oyo several developmental projects, and all these projects are associated with you.
Well,
how are you doing it, sir?
Well, the how one cannot explain. The point is the ideas come either to us or to other people who share them with us. And all we do is pray over them and then mobilize first the human resources, which is basic. For me, if you have any good idea, most of the time you cannot carry them out on your own, by yourself, you alone. You need to share them. Find like-minded people. Find people who are progressive. Find people who are hardworking. Find people who are patriotic. Find people who love the community, not just for what they will get out of the community, but what they can do for it. Talk to them. Share your ideas. Argue if necessary. But eventually agree on how do we get to where we want to go. And once we are able to do that, and that's what happened in most cases, even the Oluewu project, which I think is about the biggest project we have done as a community in Oyo. The idea came, some people told us it's possible because Papa, some people in Ilora have tried it before I came. When Brother G. Adenina, who was their secretary, reported it to me before he passed on, and he gave me the folder. And so it's left to me now to do something with that folder once he has passed on. And then I got all the others, the Atandas, the Abubakars, all the people who are available, Ataiwo and Balala and a few of others. Come on, let's look at this. What do we do? And the next thing was share it with the king. Who will do it? Oh, Ladigbolu, because they know close to their life. And so we shared the idea with Kabiyesi, and Kabiyesi said, you people go and pursue it. I'm with you. If you have written your letter, I will endorse it.
And he did that.
And he did. He endorsed
it.
Yes, and he gave even the telephone call. Then a brother, an engineer from Fiditi, came and talked to me and said, I heard you were looking for so and so. I'll help you to redraft your letter. Will you be able to get the Alaafin to speak to the general manager? I said, what time? He said, 9 o'clock the following day. Call Kabiyesi. Papa, get ready. You must greet somebody in Abuja at 9 o'clock. I will be here with you. And I went with my phone, I called him, I prayed for him. And that was the beginning of After that, Kabiyesi prayed for the man said, forget all your trouble.
And today is a testimony.
Today it is a testimony.
Recently.
So it is networking, it is not...
Recently, some young people gathered themselves together and they put together scholars from Oyo Federal Constituency to start the Oyo Scholars Congress. You were at that event.
Yes, I was, because that's the kind of thing I'm looking for. Those are the kind of opportunities we need. Those are the kind of organizations we need, which we lack up to the time that was founded. So when that kind of thing is happening in this community, we have to be there to give a word of encouragement, to let them know we need them.
How do you describe your feelings that day when you saw scholars from...
I just felt great. because I deal with scholars, haven't gone to school a little bit myself. And so to see that, oh, all these professors are yours, all these, my children are scholars, professors, PhD holders, Jesus, it was one of the greatest and best days of my life. Honest to
From
God.
your leadership experience and what you've gone through so far, living in Oyo since 2005 and, spearheading various developmental projects, what can you share with the Oyo Scholars Congress as to how they should pursue community networking, community leadership, and community, interventions?
Well, there are varying challenges at the moment. Whenever anything confronts Oyo, because of my own knowledge of the fact that we need scholars, we need academicians, we need them because one, they have the contribution of knowledge to make. Two, they have the contribution of connections to make. And then, of course, they also have the contribution of direction to make. Because some things we who are here are ignorant about. Some of our children will just make a phone call and they will get the answer. Some of them will just call one or two people and they will say, okay, what you are looking for is here. Go and look there. And they will find it there and bring it home. And so, personally, each time we had anything to do in Oyo, I made sure Professor Ayola was a head in the University of Ibadan. Anything we hold of him, get hold of the rest of your people. At Lautech, I have a similar connection. Get hold of the rest of them. Let them know. Give us advice. Give us direction. Use your connections. So as things are standing now, we are very fortunate that now we have an organization, a bunch that we can touch, that we can reach, that we can use. Professor Oladejo, far away in the north, used to come home and ask me, how are things going? What's going on? And I used to ask him, what are you and your colleagues doing too? So now you have a body that will collate ideas, collect all the kind of innovations, and build upon the common knowledge, the big box of common knowledge that you are gathering together, and help lift Oyo up. Transportation is a challenge in Oyo today.
I'm coming to that. I have noticed that you have, through your pastoral, journeys, you've traveled wide and near, and you have gathered, knowledge, and you have returned to Oyo since 2005, and you've been leading developmental projects in Oyo. You will understand what Oyo lack. Most of the people who are not directly connected with Oyo. So what are some of the areas that you think the younger generation can, be involved in, especially the developmental gap?
Well, I was hurrying to the point of transportation. Today, it is Marwa and Korope vehicles that ply most of our roads. We need to have community bus services running through Oyo and Afijio. It is not there yet. I do not see why the railway line cannot come to Oyo and go from Oyo to Okeogun and then link the north from that end. Those are part of the major challenges and needs of our community today. Only yesterday, one of the foundations in Oyo, Omayakumi, summoned a security summit. We applied to the President of the Federal Republic through the Alaafin for a Mopol squadron for Oyo. Unfortunately, the very same time we did, the governor of Oyo State applied through the Inspector General for a Mopo station. Ours was granted. Oyo was properly written on it. We got the letter, but the government of Oyo State took it away from us and put it in Aguare. That's a basic need for security, because Oyo is getting larger and larger every day. And there's need to have a mobile police force within this daily expanding community to ensure that people can sleep with their 2 eyes closed every night in their homes. Those, for me, are some of the real challenges, and that the scholars can use their connections, they can use their knowledge, they can use their opportunities to intervene and to help. Of course, inadequacy of medical facilities, because there are still cases still being taken from Oyo to Ogbomoso, Bowen, or to Lautech Hospital these days, simply because the facilities are here in Oyo, but they are not put in a usable shape to make them available and useful to our people. So any connections we have that can help, at least to revive the old Lautech facilities located in Oyo and make them useful and available to our people, yes, they will be appreciated. And I'm sure you scholars can use your contacts to help us even along that direction too.
In terms of leadership development?
Well, we'll keep encouraging young people to follow their leaders, learn from them, and ask questions, be inquisitive enough to find out, how are you doing it, sir? And then let them explain to them. Today, just today, I was thinking I would get a break of about 2 or 3 hours after the North Form meeting. But the people of Koso came, the Yaya and Moga people. And this matter has been lingering. But today we were able to settle it simply because we sat down with the people, we reasoned with them, and we were able to explain things to them that they did not understand. And I was happy that there were there were more young people in the group that came than old people. And I was able to explain to them, when you hold a document in your hand and you read it with understanding. The declaration said, it is a declaration for the Baale of Kusu. And it listed 6 or 7 people who are the chieftaincy council. And some of you have been saying there's no Baale of Kusu. Stupid, because you are holding a sheet of paper and you could not read. Learn to read. Read with understanding. If you don't understand, ask for people who are knowledgeable to interpret stuff to you. And today, this lingering issue that would have caused war in Kusu and disgraced Oyo during the installation of the Alaafin has been resolved.
The way you are using wisdom and knowledge to resolve matters, do you have younger people that you are training that you think can take over?
Well, we thank God for the few that are getting close enough to us. It happened that you who are interviewing me, you are one, you are one of them, and we are trying to make ourselves available to as many young people as are willing to learn.
There is something very unusual about you. You seem to have so much energy. You are closer to 90 now, but you walk like as if you are 25 years old. Well, what is the secret, Baba?
It is the grace of God and the excellent care my wife is giving me.
In fact, we should celebrate Mommy because this conversation cannot be complete without indeed celebrating Mama. Behind every successful man, there is a successful woman.
Yes.
And we have to indeed celebrate Mommy for taking
that's why I always
care.
try to celebrate her.
Because I cannot tell the number of meetings you attend every day.
Yes.
From morning till evening.
Yes.
And you still look fresh.
Well,
like as if you are just clocking 60.
Well,
we need to know the secret, sir.
Well, the secret is
maybe you can take this opportunity to let us know.
There is no formula of any kind. There's no dietary prescription, and there's no medical prescription.
Or maybe some bere or...
There's no bere, there's no onde, there is no ibadi, there's nothing. It is the grace of God and the excellent care of a loving wife that's been sustaining us. And of course, the care of you all of you, my children, who are making sure we don't lack anything we need to live a decent life.
What are your projections about Oyo 15 years to come, 10 years to come, 20 years to come, in terms of development, in terms of community, life, in terms of community intervention, and in terms of restoration of glory? What are your projections?
I believe that the nursing school in Oyo will become a teaching hospital combined with the state hospital. So the tertiary status will be properly established and affirmed. And so people will be rushing to Oyo to train, to specialize in all fields of medical care in Nigeria. Those are part of my projections. I believe there will be a train station passing through Oyo in the next 10, 15 years. I believe the transportation services in Oyo would have been so expanded that there will be buses linking each area of Oyo. Oyo has become so big, so wide, that Kurokbes are not adequate to transport our people. Okadas are a disgrace to us to transport our people. And I believe all these things will become reality. Our roads will all be paved. There will be a road that you can ride with your limousines without worrying about bumps and gutters. And that's the Oyo I'm looking at. And power supply will be much better because Oluewu will expand. We've provided enough room for an expansion of the Oluewu facility. What we have now is 132. The 133 will follow by and by, so that electricity supply in this community will be better and it will be available to all the people. Those are our projections. And the security facilities too, because our Mopo station, squadron, I have kept reminding the governor every opportunity I've had. If I meet him next time again, the squadron will be number 2 on my list of requests. And I'll keep reminding him as long as I'm alive until the Oyo squadron is returned. And thank God Seyi Makinde promised that since he had seized our own and took it to Aguare, he's going to request for a second one to be in Oyo. And I'll keep reminding him. And any of you scholars too, if you know our governor or any of his aides, help us to remind them. They owe us that responsibility. A promise is a promise. Their word of honor must be respected. And so,
on behalf of Oyo Scholars, once again, I want to appreciate our daddy. We want to thank God for his life. We want to thank God for all the successes we've been able to achieve as a community through his leadership. And I want to encourage those who have one thing or the other to ask daddy. We throw it open now and allow few individuals who want to possibly make some remarks and those who want to ask questions. So the floor is open to as many scholars as want to make some remarks or ask questions. We have a few minutes to do that.
So, can I just ask, Dr. Egbetokun, since Reverend Kolade is not really on the Zoom, that you can please moderate this so that people can use the icon to raise their hand, so that we're not talking about each other. Dr. Egbetokun, over to you.
Yes, I'll moderate that. I see some hands already. So what I will do is to ask you to unmute. You can unmute your mic, ask your questions. Please, let's keep it brief and straight to the point so that we can give many people opportunities to ask questions. So I'll ask, I see the hand of Oguntunji. I'm assuming that's Professor Oguntunji. Please unmute yourself and ask your question. Professor Oguntunji, you have the floor.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Daddy, thank you very much for honoring our invitation.
My pleasure.
We pray that you will live long in Jesus' name.
Amen.
In fact, I'm very happy for having the opportunity to see you directly tonight. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Sir, something is bothering my mind, and that has to do with the Federal University of Agriculture. They proposed one for Oyo town. Of recent, we discovered that 2 were approved for Southwest, one in Ekiti and one in Iragbiji. Sir, how far about that of Oyo? Because that of Iragbiji was moved on the floor of House of Rep after it has been moved by Honorable Adeyemi. Sir, what is Oyo community doing about this? Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Yes,
well,
sir.
we are doing our best to follow up on our request, and we are also pressing buttons outside of the ministries directly concerned. We have held some meetings with the community leaders of the venue, the location of the university itself, just to be sure that there are no disagreements and litigations involving where the university is to be located. And of course, we are aware that Honorable Buhari has also requested for a University of Agriculture for Okeogun, for an unnamed location in Okeogun. And we are also monitoring that aspect of challenge that we know is involved in this matter. But let me say to you, and I know you all can keep this to yourselves, we had an understanding at the beginning from the president that he was going to do something significant in memory and honor of our father, our late father, the Alaafin of Olaiwola. And so we are also pulling the strings along that kind of line in favor of our proposed university. So we are not slowing down in any way, but we are moving quietly to ensure that our dream becomes a reality. I don't want to say more.
Oh, all right. Thank you, Baba. The next question will come from Dr. Yemi Okunwela. If you would please unmute yourself and ask your question.
Thank you, Doc. I want to greet our Baba and I say, help before. And I recall in those days, while I was doing my handy in SRK back then, we visited Baba in Elisha. And Baba I can still recall with nostalgia how you gave us a warm reception. Well, thank you so much, sir. I have a question, something bothering my mind. And the question has to do with the place of Oyo in Yoruba history. There's no doubt Oyo occupies a well-referred place in the history of Yoruba land. But despite that referred place in the history, it's like we have not been able to assert ourselves. And particularly, during the presentation, you made mention of Oromia festival we've been doing for the past 10 years or so. Now, and I asked myself that if you look at Ogun State, Ojudioba in particular, it has become a global festival. And when we are talking of Oyo in the place of Yoruba, we have monuments, we have artifacts, a lot of things to showcase to the whole world. But a question that is in my mind is this. Can we say that the festival, yes, I really commend you, sir, and all those who have been organizing the programs. But over the year, can we say that what we've been able to package, I don't think it can stand shoulder high with the like of that festival. And just last week, I was watching Obomasho. They came
Dr.
up with
Kumanga, do you want to go straight to your question so we give other
So my question is this: what are we doing to ensure that we package that kind of festival and showcase ourselves to the whole world? That's just my question, sir.
Thank you. You forgot, sir, to mention that recently the entire global community affirmed the significance of Shango, and so UNESCO has now accepted Shango Festival as a global festival for all humanity. I thought I should remind you about that, sir, before going to the other issues. Well, Uju the Oba was actually started as a ceremony to greet the Oba. There was a Christian Oba, Oba Adesanya, Awujale Adesanya, who was a Christian. And so the people thought after they have gone to the mosque, after they've distributed their gifts and shared the rams, there should be a way to say hello to the king. And so they started what became now Uju the Oba. And it was more or less a fashion display ceremony. And if you still look at it till today, and that's the pattern Ogomasho is copying. Because we also at home are watching, and we are keen on what others are doing. Of course, Oyo is always available and willing to learn from others, particularly if they are doing anything commendable, applaudable. But then the two incidents we have quoted, they don't represent in the true sense of Yoruba culture and tradition what we consider a Yoruba festival. Oranya is about the closest. And that's why, you know, when we started Oranya Festival in 2012, there was a 2-year battle between Oyo and Ife. Because Oba Okunade Sijuade could not understand why Alaafin should be the one to celebrate Oranya. And so on. But we fought that battle, we won. You will see my name also in the records if you are checking them. And of course, you see the name of Dr. Oluloyo, who was, violently attacked by the Ife people, but who stood by the truth of the fact that the symbolic celebration for all Yorubas is Oranya Festival, because Oranya was the first Alaafin of Oyo. So what we are going to try to do is to enlarge the scope of Oranya. On account of Oranya Festival, today, just this today, I was expecting the king of Pobe in Benin Republic for his delegation to be here in Oyo. Because of Oranya, all the Yoruba kings in the west coast of Africa are coming to Oyo, and they will still be coming to participate in the coronation of the new Alaafin because of the influence and impact of Oranya Festival. So even if we don't feel it so much at home, others within the West African region are feeling the impact of Oranya, and they are happy to be part of it, to be involved in it, to be counted among those who are celebrating it. And I believe you all should be rejoicing about that. And so give us ideas on how to make it better, on how to make it bigger. And we are ready to listen. We are ready to learn so that whatever we have started small can get bigger and benefit not only our community, but the whole world. We are willing.
Yes,
we are
sir.
ready.
Thank you, sir.
All right.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you so much, Baba. In the interest of time, we have only about 13 minutes and we don't want to keep you much longer than we promised. I see that you're already holding your pen, Baba. So
yes, I am.
I would politely ask that the next two questioners will ask their question in succession so that you take notes and then you can address them together.
Okay, so, okay, we'll take the two questions.
I saw the hand of Paul Olaniyi first.
Hello, sir.
Yes, please.
So please, Dr. Debra is speaking. Please, I was unable to raise up my hand, and I have one specific information to derive from Baba, and I know that that information will be beneficial to every one of us. Please, can I be
sorry, Dr. Garuba.
Please, let me take it in sequence. Given that
so you'll be
come to you. I will come to you. I will come to you.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
So I would like to tell, I'm not sure if this is Dr. or Mr. or Professor, please forgive me, Paul Olaniyi, and then
Engineer Paul Olaniyi. Hello, Engineer Paul
Olaniyi.
Engineer is an engineer.
Yes, Ambassador Tunde Mustafa. Please just go in that sequence. Unmute yourself, ask your question. Please don't greet Baba again. We have all greeted Baba, and Baba remains greeted. We won't be able to accommodate all the greetings today. I'm sure all of us have one that word of accolade for Baba. Please ask your question in about 30 seconds, and then we go to Ambassador Mustafa, and then I would allow Dr. Garuba so that Baba can respond to all together.
Thank you, sir.
Engineer Paul Olaniyi, Baba Akinyo, yes. I think today I heard properly or got the wind, because you said you also read master degree in mass communication. So I can now say no. I can now know how my cousin, Prof. Dayo Iba, and now where she got the mass communication from. So,
yes, Adiremi is the journalist. So at least there are two journalists in our family.
That's very nice. So at least I was able to catch that one properly today. Then another thing, you were looking for witnesses, and the area that how we witness is you mentioned about. Sir?
Yes. Go ahead.
You are talking of witnesses. So you mentioned about Ifa, so which I will be able to collaborate about that. Baba Ogunleye.
Yes.
So
his grandfather is Baba Ogunleye.
So that's a true fact that Baba Ogunleye practiced Ifa, and the other one is about Islam. Baba Busari, like you said. So at least I can witness to all them. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm happy that there's a living witness.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Ambassador Mustafa, you have the floor. Ambassador Mustafa, Tunde Mustafa.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, please go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
We can hear you, Ambassador.
Ekale Baba.
Your Excellency, how are you?
Méjì ni nǹkan méjì mo fẹ́ sọ. Mo fẹ́ tọrọ gáfárà lọ́dọ̀ àwọn Oyo Scholars pé mo join program wọn. Ìtorí mi ṣe member Scholars. Àmọ́ nígbà tí wọ́n sọ pé bàbá ni ó sọ̀rọ̀, inú mi dùn láti join.
You are always welcome to join. Kò sígbà tẹ́yìn join wa. But please proceed.
Nǹkan méjì ni mo kọ́ fẹ́ sọ. Àkọ́kọ́, àwọn bàbá sọ̀rọ̀ lórí transportation. Ẹ jọ̀ọ́ bàbá tẹ́ ẹ bá mójútó ọ̀nà Tábó lọ sí ọ̀nà Ìkòyí. Ọ̀nà yẹn ti di very very strategic road fún wa nsìn. A rí pé àti lọ sí north nsìn láti Ìbàdàn. Ó wà easier láti gba Ìbàdàn, Ìṣẹ́yìn, Ògbómọ̀ṣọ́, máa lọ sókè. Àwọn èèyàn gba ọ̀dọ̀ wa mọ́. Àwọn tí wọ́n ń ṣe nǹkan oko, ó difficult fún wọn láti kó wá sí Sábó. Ó pè fún wọn kán kó lọ sí Ìbàdàn through Ìṣẹ́yìn àbí lọ sí ọ̀nà Ògbómọ̀ṣọ́. Ẹ dákun ẹ bá àwọn gómìnà wa, ẹ jẹ́ á bá wọn sọ̀rọ̀. Ó jẹ́ pé ó wà lára priority project tí wọ́n bá wa ṣe. Èkejì tí mo fẹ́ sọ, àwọn scholars wa ni mo fẹ́ bá sọ̀rọ̀ directly. As scholars, ẹ jẹ́ á máa ṣe as scholars. Ẹ jẹ́ á máa kọ nǹkan nípa Ọ̀yọ́ sínú ìwé ìròyìn, sínú social media. Aláàfin ni a ṣe ní April 4 yìí ó yẹ kó jẹ́ pé gbogbo social media ojoojúmọ́ ká máa rí káwọn èèyàn máa kọ nǹkan lórí Ọ̀yọ́ lórí Aláàfin á ṣe ká gbogbo social media ni mo fẹ́ kí àwọn scholars wa kí wọ́n dominate from now títí di ìgbà tí a ṣe coronation kí gbogbo àgbáyé kí wọ́n mọ̀ pé Aláàfin a sì ní gbogbo nǹkan tí wọ́n ti kọ́ bet mo kàn fẹ́ jọ àwa target scholars let's dominate social media for this our coronation coming. Ẹ ṣé bàbá o, ẹ pẹ́ fún wa o. Ẹ̀yin scholars, ẹ̀yin náà kú iṣẹ́ o.
Ẹ ṣeun
ambassador, ẹ ṣé o, ẹ jẹ́ kí n dáhùn sí tó sí ambassador sọ yẹn.
Bẹ́ẹ̀ ni sir.
Lónìí láàárọ̀ yìí ìpàdé ìgbìmọ̀ New Ọ̀yọ́ State Forum a ṣe nínú ọgbà ń bí. Lára tí a tẹnumọ́ jù níbẹ̀ ni pé Ọ̀yọ́ gbọ́dọ̀ pariwo ara ẹ̀ fún gbogbo ayé torí pé Ògbómọ̀ṣọ́ ti gbé ìgbìmọ̀ kan dìde táwọn General Pópóọlá àti àwọn èèyàn kànrìnkànrìn tí wọ́n wà ń bẹ̀ wípé àwọn làwọn láti jẹ capital Ọ̀yọ́ State tí Ìbàdàn bá lọ. Mo ti forward kìnìyàn sí Délé ṣe ó wà lọ́wọ́ bí ọba sí lọ́dọ̀ ẹ̀ wọ́n fi hàn yóò bá mi fi ránṣẹ́ sí yín. Ara ń tà pinnu lónìí ni pé a gbọ́dọ̀ bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí pariwo ìdí tọ́yọ́ fi gbọ́dọ̀ jẹ́ capital tó gbọ́dọ̀ jẹ́ olú ìlú fún Ọ̀yọ́ State tó bá kù. Kí báyé fẹ́ báyé kọ̀ kí gbogbo èèyàn ó mọ̀. Ara iṣẹ́ tí ẹ lè ṣe fún wa tẹ́ ẹ lè bá wa ṣe. Tẹ́yìn tí ẹ tún wá mọgbọ́n tẹ́ ẹ máa fi kọ nǹkan lọ́nà tí àwọn èèyàn ó fi fẹ́ kà lọ́nà tí ó fi jẹ́ pé a bá ń ka àkàyé ní ọ̀jẹ̀ tí ó sì wà lákọọ́lẹ̀ títí láé. Ìyẹn ni iṣẹ́ tí a fẹ́ dojú kọ báyìí. Inú mi dùn pé Ọlọ́run rán ambassador Mustapha sí wa bí ìpọ́ wà ń pàdé wa láàárọ̀ yìí ni. Torí Chief Ọláoyè ti ní ká fún ilé èèyàn mẹ́ta gbogbo ohun tóun mọ̀ lórí ìdí tó fi jẹ́ pé Ọ̀yọ́ ló gbọ́dọ̀ jẹ́ capital. Òun ò lè kọ nǹkan mọ́ ṣùgbọ́n nǹkan ń bẹ lọ́pọlọ òun ó tú dàálẹ̀ fún wọn. Àti níkàn mẹ́ta ọlọ́ọ̀bá Chief Ọláoyè lónìí yìí náà. Èmi náà ní àwọn àkọọ́lẹ̀ nù ilé ọwọ́ mi dí púpọ̀ kò jẹ́ kémi ó lè jókòó ṣèlérí. Mo ṣẹ̀ṣẹ̀ tún kọ nǹkan kan lórí ayaba Ṣọlápé Àwẹ̀ró tí mo fún oníròyìn kan tí ó tẹ ìwé ìròyìn tí ó jáde fún ti Aláàfin tá à ń retí rẹ̀ yìí. Ìrọ̀lẹ́ yìí ni mo fi kíníyàn ránṣẹ́ sí ẹni náà. Ìyẹn mo ti fọjọ́ 4 ṣiṣẹ́ lórí ẹ̀ tí ò jẹ́ mi ó tún máa ráyè mi. Nítorí náà ẹ̀yin scholars ojúṣe yín ló délẹ̀ yìí ẹ gbà wá. Ambassador Oshio, ọ̀rọ̀ gidi ló sọ.
Ẹ ṣeun bàbá. We have only 4 minutes left. Mo ṣì ń wo ọwọ́ kan lókè. But Dr. Garuba, ohun tẹ́ ẹ fẹ́ sọ lẹ́ẹ̀kan, you wanted to make an important intervention. Now the floor is yours. And immediately after Dr. Garuba, Adepoju Malik Adegoke, you will have the floor. But please, let's make it brief. 30 seconds each, so that Ali Fumba Bana Yena to respond. Dr. Garuba.
So thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Èmi náà fi àsìkò yìí mo fi ń kí bàbá wa. Bàbá wa Ayo Ladigbolu. I pray to God Almighty to continue granting you long life. Amen. Because of your interventions. If you could remember, I came to your house together with Edward.
Yes.
Almost a year ago. On the issue of my sabbatical to Emmanuel Alliance at the University of Education.
Amen.
But to God be the glory. So your interventions came to reality through the support of our father, Professor Ayo Ladigbolu. So I want you to use to help me to thank him for that. That's number one. Then number two, àwọn ọmọ tẹ́bí, àwọn àwọ̀ndà pàápàá jùlọ àtàjẹ́ scholars, wípé Ọ̀yọ́, kí ló dé tí agbègbè kan tá à ń pè ní dọ́bà. Tá bá dẹ̀ wo inú ìtàn, a rí pé tó jẹ mọ́ ní tí wọ́n ń pè ní dọ́bà, agbègbè ilẹ̀ Àrẹwà, inú orúkọ yẹn ló ring létí rẹ̀. Kò papọ̀ mọ́ àwọn orúkọ agbègbè wa nílẹ̀ Yorùbá ń bí báyìí. So a ti wá ń ṣe ìwádìí lórí pé kí ni ààyè dọ́bà nínú ìlú Ọ̀yọ́. And I believe you will be in the best positions to throw more light to that, because majority of us doesn't know the position of Doba in Oyo Town.
Right.
Thank
you, Dr. Garuba. I'm sure Baba has noted your question. Final question, Adepo Jumanik Adegoke. And then we allow Baba to answer so that we can close on time.
Sir, thank you very much, sir, for the beautiful session. It was such an insightful one. Quickly, I just want to ask a brief question, sir. Sir, during your presentation, you were talking about your experiences in Oyo during your time. So,
Yes.
and okay, let me just say, I thought during those days, the Oyo community was deemed highly traditional. So I thought the influence of traditional authority were actually encroaching on every aspect of the community. But from your discussion, you actually mentioned little about the influence of the Alaafin, specifically the Alaafin office, on the creation of those clubs you mentioned and stuff. So can you please point out some of the influence or impact of the Alaafin or the traditional authority during these periods on those activities that you engage in, sir? Thank you, sir.
All right. Thank you very much. Babake to down, sir. Again, Toro Gafara, we may run over by about a couple of minutes, maybe 5 minutes, so that I'm not down.
Okay. Now,
well, that is really, really badly timed. Baba has been muted.
Baba is muted. What happened?
Oh, just as he's about to start talking.
Yes.
Oh, am I on now?
Yeah,
yes, you are back, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Ṣé rí ibi tó ń jẹ́ Dọ́bà yẹn, ìtàn rẹ̀ tí a gbọ́. Bóyá ẹ tiẹ̀ mọ̀ pé wọ́n fi block of classrooms kan dá wọ́n fi sọ orúkọ mi ní grammar school tó wà ńbẹ̀ ní Dọ́bà. Ṣùgbọ́n èèyàn kọ́ ni tá a fẹ́ sọ̀rọ̀ lé. Ọmọ ọba ìlú Èbó ló fẹ́ wá sí Nàìjíríà. Ara ibi tí wọ́n sì pinnu pé yóò dé ní Ọ̀yọ́. Wọ́n wá ní ibi tí wọ́n ó ti ṣe ayẹyẹ, tí wọ́n ó ti pàdé ẹ̀, tí wọ́n ó ti ṣe Dọ́bà fún. Tí wọ́n ń pè ní Dọ́bà yẹn, ara tí wọ́n máa ń ṣe ń bẹ̀ ní ẹṣin gúngùn. Àwọn torí Ọ̀yọ́ ń gẹṣin tẹ́lẹ̀ o nígbà wà lọ́yọ̀ọ́ lé o. Ẹ lè má mọ̀. Indeed, púpọ̀ wa ló jẹ́ pé a mọ̀ pé àwọn tó ń bẹ sí gùn jù láyé yìí Ọ̀yọ́ ni wọ́n wà tẹ́lẹ̀. Ọ̀kan nínú àwọn ọba wa Aláàfin ó tiẹ̀ mọ ẹṣin fi jagun débi pé ó tún ní ewé tí wọ́n máa so mọ́ ẹ̀yìn ẹsẹ̀ ẹṣin nídìí ìrù rẹ̀ tó fi jẹ́ pé ibi tí ẹṣin bá ti kọjá ewé yẹn yóò mọ bo ìpẹ́ ẹbẹ̀ táwọn ọ̀tá ò fi ní mọ ọ̀nà ibi tí àwọn ẹlẹ́ṣin Aláàfin gbà lọ. So gẹṣin ni wá lọ́yọ̀ọ́. Wọ́n wá ti múra lẹ̀, wọ́n wá ń wá ibi tó gbòòrò táwọn tí ó gẹṣin ó ti lè ṣe Dọ́bà fún ọmọ ọba ìlú Èbó tó ń fẹ́ wá Nàìjíríà. Àkókò ìgbà náà ni ẹ wá ní measles àbí outbreak àrùn kan dé. Nítorí náà kò lè kọjá Èkó, kò lè wá sí Ọ̀yọ́ mọ́. Ibi tí wọ́n ti fẹ́ ṣe ayẹyẹ yẹn fún níbi tó ń jẹ́ Dọ́bà títí dòní lọ́yọ̀ọ́ wà. Ibi tí wọ́n bá ti gẹṣin fi kí ọmọ ọba Gẹ̀ẹ́sì káàbọ̀ ló kọ Aláàfin sílùú Ọ̀yọ́ ni. So eré ẹlẹ́ṣin tí wọ́n fẹ́ ṣe ń bẹ̀ ní Dọ́bà. Òun náà sì ló kọ tá à ń pe àdúgbò yẹn àti iléèwé wa tí ń bẹ ń bẹ̀ títí tó fi di òní olónìí. So Dọ́bà ń bẹ lọ́yọ̀ọ́ o torí pa fẹ́ ṣe Dọ́bà fún ọmọ ọba ìlú Èbó tá a ráyè ṣe mọ́. A sì fẹ́ kí n tá a fẹ́ ṣe ń bẹ̀ kí ìrántí rẹ̀ ó parẹ́ bí èèyàn ṣe rìn nìyẹn. Ní ti ipa wo ni ọba kó nínú ètò àtúnlùṣe àti kí ìlú lè dùn pàápàá nígbà tí èmi wà ní kékeré wọ́n máa ń mú èmi lẹ́yìn wọ́n máa ń kí n tó di pé mo ń gbénú ààfin fúnra ara mi àwọn èèyàn mẹ́ta ló máa ń ṣílẹ̀kùn fún mi láti òde pánù tó kọjú da olórí ẹrú, ìyá ayaba àpéwò tó jẹ́ ìyá bàbá tèmi yóò ti ránṣẹ́ sí àwọn tí wọ́n ó ṣílẹ̀kùn jọ́ tí wọ́n bá mú mi lọ tí ń lọ jókòó lẹ́sẹ̀ Aláàfin Ṣìnà Bọ́lá Oníkẹ̀pé. Àwọn mẹ́ta yẹn ni wọ́n ó ṣí ilẹ̀kùn fún mi. Àwọn ọba èyí dá sí ọ̀rọ̀ ọ̀dọ́ àbọ́mọdé nígbà yẹn. Nígbà tí Aláàfin Adéníran náà jẹ, àwọn ọba èyí dá sí ọ̀rọ̀ ọ̀dọ́ àti ọmọdé nígbà yẹn. Nígbà tí Aláàfin Gbádégẹṣin náà jẹ, wọn ì dá sí. Orí Aláàfin Láyíwọlá ò ní pé wọ́n ń dá sí ọ̀rọ̀ pé àgbà bọ́ọ̀lù, wọ́n fẹ́ jẹ̀ṣẹ́, wọ́n fẹ́ ṣe lawn tẹ́nísì, wọ́n fẹ́ ṣe eré ìdárayá kankan. Orí Láyíwọlá, kábíyèsí kọ́lọ́run fọ̀run kẹ́ wọn, orí wọn ni ó ti bẹ̀rẹ̀. Kò dẹ̀ sí nǹkan táwọn ọ̀dọ́ ń ṣe tí kábíyèsí kì í bá wọn dá sí ní Ọ̀yọ́ àfi tí wọ́n bá pè wọ́n sí. Kódà omi tí wọ́n bá pè wọ́n sí gan, tí bàbá bá rí i pé òun nífẹ̀ẹ́ sí, yóò rán aṣojú rẹ̀ lọ́bẹ̀. Torí èmi rántí dáadáa pé níye ìgbà ni àwa sìn wọ́n lọ tí bàbá rìn látààfin tán dẹ̀ tún fi kọ́ gbogbo àwa Ọ̀yọ́ náà pé ká máa rìn láǹfààní. Tá a rìn afẹsẹ̀ rìn látààfin dé Dọ́bà, a tún fẹsẹ̀ rìn padà. Kò sì ṣe wá ní nǹkan kan àwa náà nì. Torí pé ọba tó fẹ́ràn ọ̀dọ́ tí òun fúnra rẹ̀ sì jẹ́ ẹni tára rẹ̀ le tó sì fẹ́ kára gbogbo èèyàn ó le ni. So wọ́n máa ń dá sí nǹkan tó bá jẹ mọ́ tí ó mú kí igun ọ̀dọ́ ó le, tí ó mú kí inú àwọn ọ̀dọ́ ó dùn, tí ó sì mú kí ayé wọn dára. Àwọn àbántẹ́mi mọ̀ díẹ̀ sókè tí mo lè sọ nìyẹn.
All right. Thank you very much, Baba. It's been a very, very interesting evening. Inú wa dùn púpọ̀ pé ẹ yẹ wá sí lónìí. Wọ́n fi ìbéèrè kan rán mi sí yín sà.
Ẹnìkan náà béèrè ọ̀kan ní èyí tí ò wí òkè. Wọ́n sọ̀rọ̀ autobiography.
Bẹ́ẹ̀ ni, òun náà ni mo fẹ́ béèrè wípé ṣé ẹ kọ́ àbí abẹ tí ń kọ́?
Ní ọ̀hún kan ni wọ́n ti kọ̀ọ̀kan rí nígbà tí mo fẹ́ ṣe 100 ọdún àjọ̀dún ọjọ́ ìbí 100 ọdún. Ọmọ wa kan tó wà ní Ọ̀ṣun State University ló fi ṣe nǹkan tó fi gboyè àkọọ́lẹ̀ ìtàn ayé mi. Òun ni ló fi ṣe àkọọ́lẹ̀ ìwé tó kọ ní Department of History tó fi gboyè rẹ̀. Wọ́n sì tún tẹ ìwé kan náà jáde ńgbà wọn tí wọ́n pè ní Ayo Ladigbolu. Ìwé ọ̀hún bàǹtùbàǹtù báyìí lórí. Gbogbo àwọn tó mọ̀ mí díẹ̀díẹ̀ ńgbà náà, kálukú wọn náà tún sọ díẹ̀díẹ̀ irú bí wọ́n ṣe mọ̀ mí àti bẹ́ẹ̀ bẹ́ẹ̀ lọ. Ìṣòwò àbántí ń bẹ ńlẹ̀ tí mo mọ̀ nu. Èmi gan ti sọ fẹ́rẹ́ ń pa ìrìn àjò mi rí tí mo sì da àkọọ́lẹ̀ díẹ̀ rẹ̀ sí ẹ̀yìn ìwé A Royal Priesthood tó jẹ́ ìwé tèmi gan kọ, tó jẹ́ àwọn essays and writings and sermons tèmi. Ìwé yẹn ti fẹ́ẹ̀ tó 20 ọdún báyìí tó ti jáde. Àwọn àkọọ́lẹ̀ tí mo mọ̀ pé ń bẹ nìwọ̀n yẹn.
Ó dáa, ẹ ṣeun a dúpẹ́ bàbá. We'll be looking forward to more. We thank everyone who has been able to join us this evening, and thank you so much, Rev'd Dr. Kolade Oladele, for facilitating this very insightful and engaging conversation with Baba Ladigbolu. Once again, on behalf of the Oyo Scholars Congress, we want to thank you, Baba. Agbayin yo dale. Fọ̀rọ̀wérọ̀ wa pẹ̀lú yín eléyìí ò ní jẹ́ àsọmọ. Àtúnbọ̀ a máa rí yín bá o. And my belief is that anytime we call on you, you will oblige us. I've seen a number of our other very senior elders in the call. I can't recognize everybody, but Patapata Naki, Professor Wimishinyabona, and everybody else.
Professor Ayo is also on the call.
Yes. I'm just not able to see everyone. Professor Ayo, yes, and In fact, some of our people from abroad, I see Dr. Bonaji there and everybody else, we thank you for your time. And now, because our time is fast spent, I won't be able to allow each individual to say one thing or the other, but I want to just quickly say that this is a monthly event, and by God's grace, our next edition will be in March, on the 28th of March. We run it usually at 6 p.m. on the last Friday of each month. So next time will be 28th of March, and we are hoping to be speaking with Professor Adeyi from the University of Minnesota on the topic of international visibility. So as scholars, how can we strengthen our profile to become more internationally visible? And that connects to one of the core points that Baba made when he was talking to us about what we as scholars can offer. The more visible we are internationally, then the higher the chances that we can bring both our human and networked resources back home. So we're hoping that you will join us again on March 28th. And once again, I want to thank you, Baba, for your time with us this evening. And we wish you a very nice weekend. Professor Kolade, I don't know if you have any final words.
And God blessings upon all of you.
Well, we just continue to thank Baba for providing wonderful leadership for Oyo community. And the best we can do is to continue to pray for him for sound health, that the Lord will grant him further longevity, and the Lord will cause all his dreams and his vision for Oyo to come to pass, and for him to see several other developments that Oyo is going to witness. Thank you again, Daddy.
Thank you very much.
I think Baba was going to say something as the final word.
Yes, I was going to say I appreciate this opportunity, and I'll be monitoring you and your activities. And wherever I find the need to reach out and shake you up, I will.
Yeah. Baba, we very much appreciate that. I just want to thank Reverend Dr. Kolade for an excellent, conversation with Baba, for Dr. Egbeto who has been brilliantly leading this series, and to all our elders on the call, Professor Ayo Ladigbolu, always with us, supporting us, Professor Wile Shiambola, one of our very senior mentors, and all the other elders and leaders on the platform. Thank you so very much. Please keep in touch and keep in step with this brilliant, fantastic conversation. But before we go, don't forget Baba has thrown challenges to us today. We have resources. We need to rise up to the challenge and use the resources we have. Today, we have people in South Africa, in Boston, Massachusetts, in different parts of the world. There is more we can do to support the key development activities in our community. Baba has talked about, transportation, even things that we cannot do directly. We can use our resources to get it going. There's a lot going on within the health sector, within the education sector. Please, we need to rise up to the occasion. And just thank you once again. I can see my big Egbon, Adebayo Sharif is also here. Onishile, Baba, Onishile is also here. Great resource. Thank you all very much indeed. And please join us at the next edition. And we very much look forward to it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so
much.
Okay,
bye-bye. Thank you. God bless you.
Thank you. God bless.
Okay.